Please subscribe my channel. I never thought I would spend half my life looking at my wife and realizing I've been living next to a stranger. My name is Robert. I'm 50. For 30 years, I believed my marriage to Susan was normal. We shared bills, holidays, birthdays, and raised our daughter Olivia together. Or so I thought. We built a life that looked stable, ordinary, and even enviable from the outside. But a single phone call last month destroyed that illusion. Everything I believed about love, trust, and family fell apart. It started with a box of old letters I found hidden in the attic while searching for tax records. They were yellowed and fragile, addressed to Susan from men I had never met. All dated decades ago, before Olivia was born. My stomach sank as I read each name and signature, along with the careless, intimate words she had exchanged with them. 5 men, 5 separate relationships, all overlapping in time. I felt my whole world shift under my feet. I had trusted her completely. I defended her to friends, celebrated her successes, and even shielded her from family gossip. Now I held proof that the life I knew was built on lies. The hardest letter wasn't the first or the last. It was a short, hastily folded note signed by someone named James. Its contents made me freeze. A casual mention of Olivia's conception, written like it was no big deal, not a huge fact. My hand shook. My chest tightened. Olivia wasn't mine. Every birthday, every scraped knee, every late-night hug, every proud smile I thought was for me as her father suddenly became a cruel illusion. The pain of betrayal hit me like a physical force. How could the person I loved most and trusted completely keep something like this from me for decades? I spent days locked in the house, staring at the letters, photo albums, and everyday signs of our seemingly happy life. Memories twisted in my mind like smoke. I remember nights when Susan said she was working late. Unexpected trips she insisted I not join. Occasional cold silences I dismissed as stress or tiredness. Each memory now carried a dark meaning I had never noticed. I started connecting dots I had ignored before, reinterpreting smiles, excuses, and small lies. The betrayal wasn't just in the past. It was still alive in the present. As I stared at her picture on the mantel, smiling beside me at our wedding, I realized something else. My anger was strong, but it wasn't enough. I wanted more than anger. I wanted justice, exposure, and a reckoning that matched the hurt she caused. I didn't confront her right away. I knew better than to let emotions take over. 30 years of marriage taught me patience, observation, and good timing. I began collecting evidence. I scanned old phone bills, bank statements, and emails. Slowly, a pattern appeared. Hidden expenses, gifts, trips that didn't add up, anonymous calls at strange hours. Everything I once saw as coincidence now fit into a dark puzzle. I was careful and precise, making sure that when the time came, I would have not only the moral high ground, but undeniable proof of her long deception. Meanwhile, I kept up appearances. Susan noticed nothing odd. I smiled at her, talked normally, even played with Olivia, who still saw me as the father she had always known. Acting normal felt almost cruel, but it was necessary. I had read enough stories of betrayal to know that immediate confrontations and emotional outbursts often ended badly, messy, chaotic, and backfiring. I wanted something different, precision and real satisfaction, the kind of revenge that left no doubt or regret. Every night I planned, every choice measured. I felt a quiet excitement. For the first time in years, I had a focus stronger than the anger burning inside me. I imagined her face when the truth came out, her calm cracking, realizing she could no longer hide behind years of manipulation. I pictured Olivia's shock and the tough explanations I would need to give, not out of cruelty, but to make sure the truth was clear and undeniable. I wasn't acting rashly. I was preparing for a reckoning that fit the size of the betrayal. The turning point came one evening when Susan came home early. Unaware I had been reviewing old travel receipts and private messages, she laughed casually, oblivious to the storm inside me. I greeted her with a calm smile, nodded politely, and went upstairs to my office. From there, I gathered the final pieces of evidence, old contracts, bank transfers, even private letters Olivia had never seen. Everything I needed to reveal the truth and end the years of lies was in my hands. In that moment, I understood the real point of my plan. It wasn't just about exposing her past. It was about taking back control of the life she tried to manipulate and control. By the time she called for dinner, my strategy was set. I knew exactly how I would share the revelation, how to make it undeniable, and how to handle what came next. My mind was clear and sharp, no longer clouded by the initial rage. I had turned it into something stronger, a careful, deliberate search for justice. The betrayal was decades old, but so was my patience, and it was ready to pay off fully. The confrontation didn't happen with shouting or thrown accusations. It unfolded quietly, the way real endings often do. The following Saturday, I invited Susan, Olivia, and both our families to dinner. I called it a belated anniversary celebration. No one suspected anything. Laughter filled the room. Glasses clinked, and Susan played the gracious hostess she had practiced for years. I watched her closely, seeing how easily she slipped into that role and how little effort it took to deceive. After dessert, I stood and cleared my throat. I thanked everyone for coming, then asked for a few minutes to share something important. Susan smiled, thinking it was a sentimental speech. I began calmly, recalling our history, the years we shared, the life we built. Then I placed the box of letters on the table and opened it. The room went silent as I read the names aloud, along with dates and details that left no room for doubt. Susan's smile faded, replaced by a pale, frozen look. She tried to interrupt, but I kept going, showing copies of bank records, travel receipts, and timelines that allowed no denial. When I reached James's letter, I paused and looked at Olivia. My voice shook, not with anger but with sadness. I explained the truth gently, making sure she knew my love for her had never been a lie, even if biology was different. Susan finally broke down, pleading and crying, talking about mistakes and confusion. But the evidence spoke louder than her words. The room felt heavy with shock and disbelief. Family members exchanged looks, some angry, others stunned into silence. I didn't yell or insult her. I simply presented the facts and shared a decision I had already made. I had filed for divorce weeks earlier. The papers were ready. Because of the infidelity and long-term deception, my lawyer built a strong case that protected my assets and proved fraud. Susan would not get the comfortable life she assumed would always be there. The house would be sold, accounts frozen, trusts restructured. The life she depended on had rules now, and she had broken them. The aftermath was hard but clear. Susan moved out within days, staying with a friend who soon learned the truth. Olivia chose to stay with me. She was angry, heartbroken, and confused, but she said she trusted me more than anyone else in that moment. We started therapy together, working through years of lies and figuring out what family really means. I told her she could seek the truth about her biological father if she wanted, but I made one thing clear: I wasn't leaving. Love, I learned, is built by being there, not by DNA. Susan tried to take back control, sending messages, asking for forgiveness, threatening legal action. None of it worked. The court process was calm and straightforward. The judge saw through the history of deception. When the settlement was final, I walked out feeling lighter than I had in decades. Revenge, I realized, wasn't about cruelty. It was about reclaiming my dignity and refusing to carry someone else's shame. Months later, my life looks different, quieter, more honest. Olivia and I share dinners without pretending, conversations without tension. The house feels like a home again. Susan's name comes up sometimes through mutual friends, always tied to regret and poor choices. I don't gloat. I don't reach out. I don't need to. The truth did what it always does eventually. It set me free. I used to think enduring was the same as loyalty. I know better now. Loyalty without truth is self-destruction. Walking away didn't erase the past, but it gave the future a chance to exist without lies. I lost a marriage built on deception, but I gained clarity, peace, and a bond with my daughter stronger than blood. That was the real revenge, not watching her fall, but watching myself rise. Finally free of the burden, finally awake, and done living someone else's lie. In the end, I didn't need applause or approval from anyone in that room. I needed my life to match what I knew to be true. Each morning now, I wake without that old knot in my chest. I work, I cook, I listen, I show up. Accountability has replaced fantasy. Boundaries have replaced blind hope. And while scars remain, they remind me that truth has a cost worth paying. I chose reality over comfort, clarity over denial. That choice rebuilt my strength. Whatever comes next will be earned honestly, lived openly, and owned completely without fear, excuses, or betraying myself again. Ever again.